What's up, guys? It's your favorite QB coach, and welcome to this swing analysis of Satoshi Kodaira, JPGA Tour player, won on the PGA Tour. Let's go do this thing. Alright guys, so if you guys are new to Mike's OG Academy, we do everything you guys need to know about golf instruction, whether it be golf course vlogs, golf instructional videos, golf swing analysis like this one. Again, anything you guys need to know about golf instruction, we do it here. So if you guys haven't already, hit that little red subscribe button. You guys are going to be notified every time we drop a video. So the macro points of this analysis, we want to kind of break down the misconception that the Japanese can't do the shallow swing because their bodies are different from the Americans. Now, on top of that, we're also going to be talking about kind of the shallow swing in general in terms of the shallowing motion, what it kind of looks like, what they should be doing, and then we're also going to be talking about something that I think Satoshi is missing from the golf swing that would help him out in the long run. Now, the inspiration behind these videos is because we're going to be having a seminar in Nara. It's going to be at Grandage Golf Club. Beautiful course in Nara. It's such a good challenging track. If you guys want to go check out the course, there'll be a link in the description to the website. Go check out the website. Can't give it enough praise. It's such a great course. But we're going to be doing a series of seminars called the Shallow Swing Series. I think you guys are really going to enjoy that series. If you guys are wanting to come to our first one, I'm going to give a couple dates real quick, and there will also be a link below to a Google Docs where you guys can check out all the information you're going to need to know about this.
Right, but the first date is going to be June 9th. There's going to be one on June 10th, June 11th, June 12th, June 13th, and then June 14th. There'll be a day one of the seminar and a day two. Again, if you guys want more information, go ahead and click that Google links. It's going to be one of our first seminars. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it, and again, just go check it out.
So let's get to the first macro point behind this analysis. Can the Japanese swing like the Americans? Now, the Japanese body is a little bit different than the Americans. You guys are typically shorter in length, right? Your limbs are a little bit shorter and just shorter in general. So what does that mean? Well, typically that means that you're not going to be able to create as much speed, but that doesn't mean that your body isn't going to move like the Americans, right? Just because you have shorter limbs doesn't necessarily mean you can't still do similar motions, right? You're probably not going to do them to the same amount of degrees as like an American would, just because, again, you guys have different body lengths, but you guys can still do the motions in general, right? And I'm hoping that this series where we highlight some professional golf swings, you guys are going to be able to see kind of the shallow swing elements, and that a lot of your pros actually do a lot of the shallow swing, right? And then the second part, like we said, we want to highlight some other motions that are part of the shallow swing that I prefer to see that they're not doing. So hopefully that kind of is a little bit of a disclaimer that the Japanese can do the American golf swing. So let's go hop into the first part, which is going to be talking about Satoshi's shallowing out of the golf club motion. All right, guys, so we got two players on the screen right now. We got Brooks Koepka on the left of the screen, then we got Satoshi Kodaira on the right of the screen. Now, we're going to be taking a look at these two players' swings in terms of the shallowing motion, right? Because one of the big key elements to the golf swing, the shallow golf swing that I prefer to see, is the golf club shallowing in transition, right? Now, shallowing of the golf club in essence just means that the club head is falling slightly behind the hands in transition, right? So let's go highlight that real quick with Kodaira so you can kind of see that, and then we're going to go from here, right? So we're going to call this the top of the swing where Satoshi is right here. We're going to zoom in here. I'm going to draw a circle on the hand path, and then I'm going to draw a circle on the club head. Now, let's see how the club head is going to be falling slightly behind the hands in transition, right? So if we get him down another click, so we're going to go right about here. So as we can see, hand path has dropped slightly down and vertically out, and then the club head has fallen behind the hands, right? So it's gone from this fashion to this fashion. So Satoshi is shallowing out the golf club, right? Because in definition, shallowing out the golf club means the club head is falling behind the hands. Now, again, like we were stating earlier, there's varying degrees of how much players shallow, right? And it's really independent of kind of what golf swing they're doing, as well as what type of shot pattern they want to hit. So let's kind of just delve in and take a look at these two different players and kind of just take a look at how their swings differ in terms of hand path and the club head, or i.e. the shallowing motion, right? So as you can start seeing with this, we can see that Satoshi's hand path is kind of dropping vertically out and down at this point, and the club head is kind of making a little loop in the sky, right? So let's go take a look at that real closely. So we get up to the top, it's looping downwards, then it starts looping away, and then it goes up again a little bit, and then it starts going back down towards the golf ball, right? So that's kind of Satoshi's little bit of shallowing motion. Now let's go take a look at a different way to shallow out the golf club. This is Brooks Koepka, an American player on the PGA Tour. Let's go kind of zoom in and see how Brooks does this, okay? So we're going to put a hand path right here, and then we're going to put a blue one right here on the club head. We're going to see that Brooks has a very similar motion, right? Notice how his hands kind of drop a little bit vertically down and out. We can see that the club head is dropping kind of vertically down. Then if we get to the next click, we can see his hands are dropping a little bit more down and out. And then we can see that the club head now is starting to go a little bit more out horizontal behind the hands, right? The shallowing motion, correct? And then as we get him into this position, we can now see that the club head is going up again a little bit. And then the hands are also going down, right? So let's talk about why the club head has that little bit of a lowering motion, but then it goes up again, right? What are we doing with wrist angles to kind of make that thing happen? And it has to do with ulnar deviation or unhinging of the wrist, which is kind of a little bit of controversial between, I think, the Japanese instructors. So what constitutes lag is going to be kind of what this question answers. So the main reason why you see that club head go down in transition, and then it kind of goes up and out and then down again, is because this trail wrist is going into ulnar deviation. It's actually going and doing a little bit of this as he shallows the club. So it's not just going this way and holding. There's actually a little bit of this motion going on, which is making that club head go up again and then go out. I think this is a very overlooked but very important part of this shallowing motion in transition. And I see this typically not taught correctly in Japan. And again, in our seminars in Nara at Grandage Golf Club, we're going to be going over all these little tiny finer points to shallowing out the golf swing that I think are very, very crucial for you to get it correctly. And that's why I think you guys should be coming to this seminar. It's going to be so much good information. It's stuff that I can't really cover as much on YouTube because, again, we just don't have the time frame for it, right? But again, go check out that Google Docs below. So that's pretty much the differences between these two players and the way that they shallow the golf club. The most noticeable difference as we kind of zoom in here is that we see that Brooks Koepka's club is going lower more and then back up and then down. Satoshi has a little bit less of that. It goes lowers a little bit, but not as much, right? So what I've found is the longer hitters like Cameron Champs, Brooks Koepka, and the bombers out there, you tend to see that club head lower a lot first before it goes back up. It's actually a really interesting element to the shallow swing. And again, it's something that you don't see a lot of people talk about. But anyways, let's see where Satoshi is currently going wrong relative to kind of what I like to see. Okay, so let's go hop into another clip. So as you can see, I put a line on his belt buckle. We're gonna watch something here. So we can see that Satoshi lowers, he gets into that nice anterior pelvic tilt LPT look that we really like. But then as you can start seeing, as he starts getting to his hands level with his hips, we start seeing that the pelvis line is raising above that yellow line, right? So we call that in America early extension, or humping the goat is what they like to call, which is a really funny way to term it. But that's just what we Americans do. We like to make funny comments like that. But anyways, we call that early extension, right? So he's extending up early through the shot as he swings. And what I believe that gets him to do is get a little bit dumped under the plane, and he has a little bit of a flip or a high rate of closure, which I think is inconsistent, right? So keeping that in mind, let's go take a look at the face-on view and show you what I think caused that early extension. So face-on view, we got me on the left of the screen, we got Satoshi again on the right of the screen. We're really going to focus in on the knee work on this particular one, and then kind of the pelvis raising and kind of just highlighting what early extension looks like from the face-on view, and then going into kind of some of the reasons. So let's go take a look at Satoshi real quick. So we're going to swing him out to the top of his golf swing. Now from here, I'm going to draw another little arrow. We're going to zoom in on kind of the pelvis line, and I want you guys to really see how he pushes forward, but then we see the pelvis raise, and we're going to figure out when he's doing it. Okay, so let's take a look here. Anyway, so we're lowering, right? So see how he's lowering, and then right around when the hands start getting level to hips, just like we saw from the down the line view, we're going to see that pelvis start extending above that line, right? Now watch as we see him get into impact. He has a nice little bit of shaft lean, which is great, but then let's watch what he does with his right hand and how it reacts to this. What does it do through the release? Is it driving and holding like we like to see, or is it going this way? Let's kind of see what we do. Ah, little underflip there, right? That's what I like to call it. So what he's doing here is he's getting this to roll over like such, but he's also getting this lead wrist to get a little bit extended, right? I call that a flip. So let's show you guys an example of what a drive and hold release pattern would do, right? So this is me demonstrating a drive and hold. So as
When it comes to impact, we can see I have a nice bit of shaft lean here as well. Let me kind of go back quick so you guys can see that. So this is pretty much impact, just past impact, right? And let's go Satoshi just past impact.
So as we can see, we're in a fairly similar position here. Now, obviously, there's some differences in the way that our lower body is moving, and we're going to get to that here in a sec. But let's just take a look at the differences in release patterns through the ball. So if we take Satoshi right around 3 clicks past this, and then we take me roughly right around the same, which would be kind of right around here, we can still see that my right hand is still below the left hand. Now Satoshi's, we can see that his left wrist is extended, and then he's also this way. Again, that's the flip roll release pattern, right? So why is this so important? Well, if we can understand ball flight laws, which is what we're going to be teaching as well at the seminar, if we can understand that a face angle is 85% of the initial direction for where that golf ball is going to start, we're probably going to want to do everything in our power to make sure that this face angle is not rotating a lot through impact, right? Because if it's rotating a lot through impact, are we gaining some club head speed or ball speed? Possibly. But we're losing a bunch of control over that club face, which means we're going to have shot dispersions all over the lot. And there's a big reason why I don't think there's a lot of Japanese golfers out on the PGA Tour is because they don't have as much control over the golf ball that we do have in America, right? Because we swing so fast, what we found out in America was the faster you swing, you need a lot of control over that club face. So we figured out ways with wrist angles and the shallow swing to be able to control that club head speed, right? And that's kind of the macro points I want you guys to get behind this as well. So that's release patterns, right? So now that we've kind of established what early extension looks like from the face-on view, what does it do with wrist angles and release patterns? Let's figure out how we can start fixing this for Satoshi, right? Let's go take us both up to the top of our swings. We're going to zoom out a little bit, and then we're going to do the same thing for Satoshi. Let me get rid of this arrow. And let's look at the initiating transition move, which I think is starting to cause a lot of the issues. So if we draw a line right here, we're going to see that Satoshi is going to be breaking through this barrier a lot more than I am. Now, I'm breaking through the barrier, but I'm doing it a little bit less and slightly different. So let's take Satoshi down real quick to about... Let's take him right around lead arm parallel, right around here. So we can see that he's broken through that barrier by quite a bit, right? And we can also see that his sternum is behind the pelvis, right? This is what the traditional Japanese instructors teach, and they actually think that this is a good thing, going into that amount of right side bend. Now, also another thing we're going to take a look at really quickly is going to be how much his trail knee is kicked into internal rotation. So he's roughly right around 100, I would say right around 176 to maybe 175, which actually for the Japanese that I've seen on average is not that bad. I've seen people kicked in way more than that at that point. So he's actually, I would say, fairly close to what I look for in the golf swing. He's actually not that far off, but I still think he could do it better. So let's go take a look at mine. So if we get into lead arm parallel, we can see that first off, nowhere near breaking that wall anywhere near as much as Satoshi over here, correct? Another thing too, if we go take a look at my sternum relative to pelvis, now my sternum is slightly behind the pelvis, but I would say a little bit less. So I do have right side lateral bend, but I don't have as much as Satoshi. And then another little crucial thing here is notice how much my knee or trail knee has kicked in. Hardly at all, guys, right? Hardly at all at this point. We don't want a lot of kick, right? So let me get this angle on here correctly. I'm right around 179, right? It's maybe kicked in about a 1 degree. So this is a huge difference that I think you guys should start getting. If you guys want to learn the shallow golf swing, if you guys are shallowing out the golf club and the club shaft, but you're still pushing like Satoshi is, you're going to have a really hard time in repeating the golf motion, right? Shallowing out the golf club is actually not supposed to go along with the type of bump that Satoshi is. You're actually supposed to do a little bit more of a push like mine if you want to shallow out the golf swing. The two don't really go together. You almost want to have a steeper shaft the more that you push forward like Satoshi as opposed to a shallowing shaft. The two kind of contradict each other. And again, this is kind of another one of those small little fine points that I want to bring up in the seminars and really educate you guys on. So if you do try to go to the shallow golf swing, you guys are getting all these little tiny things correct. So again, check out the Google Docs below because you guys are going to want to go to the seminar. Lots of good information. Cool. So that's pretty much the first initiating transition move that we're going wrong. Now, as we take us down to position 6, that's when we can start seeing that pelvis raising by Satoshi, right? So let's just go give you an example of that. Let's draw that line. We're going to zoom in just a touch, and we'll do the same thing on mine. And we're going to see quite a bit of a difference right here. So as Satoshi comes into about P6, notice how much that pelvis line is raised. If I go into my position 6, notice how little mine is raised, right? There's a massive difference between the two. And that is another huge key element, I think, to the shallow swing that a lot of you guys are getting wrong out there, is extending of the pelvis a little bit too early. Now, the finer points behind that, we're going to be going over the seminar. What does extending early make you do? It typically makes you lose lag. We're going to explain that in very, very specific detail in that seminar. But this is pretty much the macro ideas I want you guys to get away from this analysis. And hopefully you guys kind of made sense from that. So to review really quickly, first thing, Satoshi and a lot of your JPGA and JLPGA tour players are shallowing out the club shaft in transition. Now, shallowing has been around for so long, we're just focusing on it right now because it's kind of the hot topic item to talk about. But again, a lot of your tour players shallow out the golf club. So keeping that in mind, the Japanese can shallow the golf club. Now, what the Japanese aren't doing, which I think they could do better, is the lower body work to move along or kind of make everything work together with that shallowing motion. And that's where I think we can really see some difference. So if you guys can take these little tiny points, hopefully from this video, you guys are going to be able to do the shallow swing a little bit more effectively, and you guys are going to be a little bit better out there in terms of doing it and just further along than the next person. So anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to give it a like. Give it a share as well. Share it out to your friends. We're trying to get more and more people learning about this. So if you guys really enjoyed this video, make sure to share it to all your friends. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't subscribed already. And yeah, this is the shallow swing, guys. Again, make sure, I really want to get as many of you guys out there as we can to this seminar. Go ahead and click that Google link one more time. Get to it. Go sign up for your spot. They're going to be going pretty quick too as well. So make sure to do it ASAP. And guys, have a good one and look forward to the next professional golf swing. It's going to be, we'll be announcing it on our Instagram here pretty shortly. All right, guys, best of luck and play some good golf out there.